Hello, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's rant is going to be titled Things in Common, because sometimes, we're going to meet people that, we have things in common with, and that's great. But there's also going to be times when we meet people who we have not much in common with. But it's a very interesting topic because some people think that, opposites attract. So when you say opposites attract, that means that you cannot have things in common, because if you are a complete opposite of somebody, obviously you don't have things in common. So the saying opposites attract must be a saying for a reason, because otherwise, things would work out. But, sometimes you don't always have to have a lot in common for a relationship to work out. But sometimes people think that, you have to have a certain amount of things in common for the relationship to work. And it's very interesting because I've seen, people tell me that, they had nothing in common and it didn't work out. So opposites, I guess, didn't attract. They were the exact opposites and a relationship didn't work out. So I don't know. That saying isn't always true. It depends on who you're talking to, and I think it really depends on the two people, because if you really like someone, like say you really love talking to somebody, but you just are frantically trying to find something that you have in common, but say like you're not really finding anything. If you really, really like talking to them, I'm sure you're going to try to find something in common to keep talking to them. Like if you actually like talking to somebody, even if you don't have things in common, you'll try to make it work. And that's usually how it is. But if you have nothing in common and you really don't like them all that much, like if you don't really see a reason to keep them in your life, you're probably going to get rid of them. So it really depends on, how much you like them, because you can really like talking to somebody and have good conversation and not have that much in common. So it's really different between people, and every relationship is different. And that's an aspect of relationships that people tend to not really understand, that every relationship is different, and that's why it's very interesting when people like to compare marriages or compare relationships, because you can't do that. You can't compare your marriage to the other marriage down the street that people have, your neighbor's marriage. They're completely different marriages. They're made up of completely different people with different boundaries and different personalities, and it doesn't always correlate the same way. So we have to be careful when we try to, compare ourselves to other relationships. Because like I said, no two relationships are the same. And there's always going to be different boundaries in relationships, different rules, different expectations. And taking two relationships and putting them together and comparing them is something that's not good. But, this video is supposed to be about, things in common. And again, it's a very interesting subject because I've met couples who literally had nothing in common, but they make a relationship work for some reason. I guess because they have chemistry and they like being around each other. And, there's so many aspects that make a relationship. And, I guess the saying opposites attract exists for a reason, because maybe you don't have to have things in common. Like I said, maybe you just have to have a good chemistry with each other and you find ways to make it work, Because like I said, if you actually care about someone and love to be around them and love talking to them, you'll find a way to make it work no matter what they do, People that are interested in talking to you and making things work with you, they'll move mountains to make it happen. So, like say you don't like the same movies and music. If someone really cares about you, they're going to find a way to make it work regardless of that. And you don't really have to like all the same stuff. Like, if I have a wife or a girlfriend, I don't want her to like the same things as me, like the same music. That's my stuff. Like, you don't have to have the same hobbies, Especially like if a guy goes snowboarding or he likes to go out hunting, like he doesn't want his wife coming with him. That's his own hobbies that he likes to do. And, that's just how it is. You don't have to like go snowboarding with your wife every 10 seconds, you don't have to have the same hobbies, you can have a great relationship and not have the same hobbies. But anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Signing out. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.